Welcome to another ranking video where we're going to rank the mighty Judas Iscariot. I've been binging them a lot recently, and this is probably one of the hardest rankings I've had to do, because most of the catalogue is pretty damn spectacular. I did a recent video where we're talking about black metal bands that have no bad albums, and this band was on it, because, lo and behold, they have no bad albums. But we gotta do it, we gotta rank them from my least favourite to my favourite anyway. I want your guys' input. So pop down below your rankings from the worst to the best. There's only a couple, there's only about 5 or 6 albums, so it shouldn't be too hard for your noggins. So yeah, let's get in with my least favourite, which is Thy Dying Light. That's correct. Thy Dying Light is my least favourite. Some people's favourite. I've seen a lot of tier lists online. A lot of people have this number 1. Because they don't have any bad albums, so ranking this discography was really difficult. For me, this is the one I go to the least. For one main reason. You probably all know it. I'm going to mention it. It's not the production. I think the production, the raw quality of it works with this album, but I do think it works better on the debut. But the drum sound on this one, it kind of throws me off. I love the riffs, I love the melodies, the screaming is amazing. The drum feels like it's a part of a different song. Every time they're playing a song, I feel like the drums are just going at their own pace. Usually it complements the music, but on this album it kind of just feels out of place. But that's the only nitpick, because the songs in here are killer. Love the riffs, love the melody, love the screaming. The screaming's amazing on here. Again, love the atmosphere. It's not a bad album at all. My only nitpick, the only reason this is last, is literally the drum sound can kinda throw me off. And it's not like this on any other album. Like the debut, it works. Like the murky nature of the debut, the drums don't bother me as much. But on this album, it does. I don't know why. You pop down in the comments why you think it is, but I don't know. For some reason, it just irks me on this album. But aside from that, fantastic release, but it is my least favourite from this band. And next to that, my second to least favourite, but also is a fantastic album, is the debut, The Cold Earth Slept Below, which is the debut album. That's right, I think Judas Iscariot is one of these bands that just got better over time. For me, the first two are great, kind of unique albums, and then they just get better and better and better, and it's just blows your mind. This album I like a lot more than the sophomore one. The atmosphere on here is just richer. The sound of everything just feels murky and just more evil than on Thy Dying Light. So I do much prefer the debut. Actually, I think it's the better, rawer album, because this kind of feels like, like the Mutilation kind of releases or early Dark Throne. It has that similar sound. The songs aren't the same, but it has a similar kind of style, which I like. And the songs on here, even better. Like the song Babylon has just a really great riff. I really like that song. The last song is so atmospheric and kind of like an epic closer to the album. So overall, thoroughly enjoyed this album. So it's coming here. The next ones are really hard to decipher which one was the best. But next is Distant in Solitary Night, which is a classic. It's a classic in the genre, and you can see why. It just melds the perfect combination between the early stuff and the later stuff. Great riffs, more infectious. The sound is a lot more improved, but I still love that kind of raw nature of the first two. But I do prefer the sound on this one. The songs, though, killer. The song, one of the main standouts, Were the Winter Beats Incessant, is just so captivating with this kind of slow kind of groove to the melody on this one. The slow nature of this is a standout on the album. I love the more atmospheric pieces of Judas Iscariot's discography, which is why one of the albums is a bit higher. But this one is just fantastic. It kind of reminds me of To Embrace the Corpse's Bleeding, but I do like the songs on that one a little bit more. But this is still a classic and still has amazing stuff on. It even has some creepy cuts, like Clear Moon and the Glory of Darkness, which is such an unsettling song. Shivers. Make your hair stand on end. That song is so unsettling. Love it. Overall, this album is amazing. It's amazing. I think it's a giant step up, and it's one of the best black metal albums ever, and we got more to come. So my number 3 is to Embrace the Corpse's Bleeding, which was on my top 50 black metal albums of all time, and I think it's one of the best modern black metal albums out of any band, and it's only number 3? What's going on? This was my number 1 for a long time, and I still adore it. I do think it is, like, just... It's kind of intense most of the way through. There is some cool atmospheric parts, but not as much as my top 2. And that's probably the only reason why it's number 3 and not number 2 or number 1. But the songs on here, oh my god, like the melodies and the guitar, satisfying. Like the riff on the first song is just so hypnotic. You'll be banging your head to the riff on the first song. So damn good. And the whole sound of this album is crisp. They ended the career on like a high note with this album because it's the last one they did, and it's one of the best modern black metal albums, like I said. Love it to pieces, so it was really tough to put it at number 3, but here it is. So number 2 is Of Great Eternity. This album, I knew from the album art this was going to be good. Like that cool landscape kind of reminded me of like Blessed Are the Sick, that kind of red tinge to it. Love it. This is the atmospheric album. Like this is the peak of the atmosphere for Judas Iscariot. And this is the 3rd album, so this is kind of where the sound... It changed. I wouldn't say matured, because I love the early stuff as well, but I feel like it changed on this album, and I like the change for the better. I think everything sounds just a bit better. The vocals come through more crisp. Just everything sounds better on this album, and it has a lot of songs in this album which just seep with creepy atmosphere, so I love it for that. Like the first song has another like really cool catchy riff, which again will get your head bobbing along to it. And then the second cut has this slow kind of lethargical, just dreary nature to it, kind of reminding me of like a funeral doom song, so you know I love it. You know I love it just by that description. Great album, could be number 1, I kept flipping them. These top 3 I kept flipping for at least an hour on end. I was changing the order. So this is what I went with. It could easily change tomorrow, but at the moment, this is number 2. The atmosphere on here is just, you know, it's one of the best. It's probably the best out of the whole catalogue. Love this album to pieces. Easily one of the best black metal albums of all time. But there's number 1. There's number 1, and that is Heaven in Flames, which I think is the perfect combination between the atmospheric stuff and the more heavy and intense stuff like On to Embrace the Corpse's Bleeding, so it meshes them together perfectly on this album. There's just something about this album, every time I play it, I'm like, this is just the best. I'll play the others and I'll be like, these are amazing, then I'll play Heaven in Flames and be like, this is just the best. It's just the best. The album art, I think it's better on some of the others, and art usually, you know, sways my judgment sometimes, but not this case. Like, I think the art's pretty cool, but I prefer Great Eternity. But on this album, like, the songs they just hit. It has the slow, kind of methodical, atmospheric songs like in Great Eternity. It has some faster cuts, some great melodies, some great headbanger riffs. The screams are just as intense as any of the others. It just has all-round best Judas Iscariot sound for me. The guitar tone on some of the songs, like Before a Circle of Darkness, is just... The guitar tone on that is amazing. It feels like a soundtrack to hell, this album does. It feels like a soundtrack to hell, and I'm with it the whole way through. So Heaven in Flames is my favourite Judas Iscariot album. But yeah, that is my ranking for Judas Iscariot. Let me know down below how you would rank these albums. Did you enjoy the video? And we'll see you again on another Quest for Metal.